Hello, and welcome to the Kitchen Litter podcast, my podcast where I show you what I've been knitting and sewing. My name is Suzanne, and I live in the northwest of England, in Cheshire, with my husband. We have 3 grown-up children and 4 grandchildren. Today is Saturday, the 25th of February, Saturday morning. A bit of a gloomy Saturday. The light's not brilliant, but we'll just have to. I'll just have to work with it. Really, I'm not quite sure how I put it right. I'm filming this on a laptop. My husband bought me a laptop, and I'm still finding my way around it. Really, I haven't podcasted for a while. A couple of reasons, really, or excuses, but my husband retired in November, so he's kind of always around, and I'm a bit self-conscious about doing this sort of thing when somebody else is in the house, and I'm not used to doing it when somebody else is in the house. Now this morning he's gone out. He does other things. He's not here all day every day, but he's gone out this morning, and he said he'd be back just after lunch. So I've got to chewy on with this. I've had 5 or 6 attempts at doing this morning, and that's how out of practice I am. So let's carry on. I'll show you what I've got on my needles. Some I think you've seen before. I'll go with the first one because I've fallen out with this one big time. This is the cardigan. It's a cardigan in Kim Hargreaves Winter, and it's called Nippy, and it's that one. And I've used the wool that the pattern calls for, which is Alpaca Classic, and I've actually used the colourway as well, which was soft satin. And on my last podcast, I was showing and then realised that I'd gone wrong on one of the cables, and it was on the back, and the cable was going the wrong way basically, and I think I should have done it that way, and it was going that way. So it stuck out like a sore thumb. It was really obvious. So I pulled it out, and Mandy from Mouse Mix commented on my podcast to say that you don't have to take it all the way. Just go down where the cable, down to where the mistake is on that particular, just on that little bit there. And I thought, that's a good idea. I'll give it a go. I mean, there's bound to be a YouTube thing out there to show you how to do it. But I'd actually cast off, so I had to take all my cast. I had to go back and take the cast off to get to the bit of the cable. So I had to come back a little bit anyway. But this is not the easiest to take back. To pull out. It's not as bad as mohair, but it does mat together. And in the end, I took the scissors to it because it was matting it. It was awful. So I just cut straight across and sorted it out from there. So I finished the back and then went to knit what I thought was another. I needed a left front. I thought I'd knitted a right front and I needed a left front, or I just looked at the wrong part of the page. Anyway, I ended up knitting 2 left fronts. So I was thoroughly fed up with it at this point. I'd knitted the sleeve. The sleeves are dead easy. The sleeves, I've got 2 of them, obviously, and it's boxy, and you knit it the same way that you knit the back. You're doing the cables one way, you've got the middle bit, and then you've got the cables going this way. Yeah. Now they're all right, those cables. I'm happy with that. But on the back, I don't know if you can. You can see I've gone awry somewhere, and it's just those cables are just not right. I've got too many cables here, and I've got there's something not right there. This is sort of the middle section here, and it's just. And I don't know whether I'm going to. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'd actually started attaching the fronts to the back, and it was it was when I was doing that, I thought, I don't think that looks right. So I've kind of just left it. So whether I go back to it or not, or I mean, the thing is, I've done all this. There's less to do now than if I was to unpick it and start again. Or I don't think I'd start again. So this, I don't know. I say this is in the naughty corner, but it's not its fault. It's mine. I should be in the naughty corner. So that's. I will finish it. I mean, there's too much work gone into it to stop now. But I am sick of looking at it. So I need to sit down and just get on with it. In fact, that's what I might do this weekend. That could be my, yeah. Another thing I think I showed you, I might have just started these when I podcast last time. And these are just a plain vanilla sock. I use Winnick Mum's pattern. And these are, so you can't see, a bit blurry. Well, that's a bit better if I come a bit closer, you could, yeah. There we go. This is Bird Street yarn, and it is Pebbles on the Beach. So I think it's perfect for a vanilla sock, because I don't think you would see a pattern in such a dark yarn. It's very nice, very, very nice. It's greys and tans and dark blues and dark greys. It's lovely, lovely. So I've got one completed. So the other thing I did for the first time was a three needle binder, and I either haven't done it right, or I don't know. It just doesn't seem as neat as a Kitchener. But my I get a bit lost with Kitchener. My concentration goes. So, but I quite like the look of the Kitchener stitch rather than the look of that. But I think I might have done something wrong. And I've got this sort of, I know I've got an end there, but I've got this kind of nubbly bit here. But I don't know. I think I might unpick that and just do Kitchener, because it's kind of, I don't know. Am I a bit off centre there? I don't know. See, I look too closely at my work. I think that's the thing, and then I see all the anomalies. Anyway, I've got that one, and I'm now on the home straight. I've done the heel flap and gusset. I dropped a stitch there. That's what that's hanging onto, and I knit my socks on 9-inch circulars, and these are 2.25, 64 stitches, and yeah, I put them onto when I'm doing all this bit here. I do what I think her name's Chris from Winnick Mum suggests, and that's put it on a DPN. So I'm using them like straight needles then, and then I put it back onto which is a bit of a faff, but I can't do. I haven't got the patience to sit down and do magic loop. Someone in my knitting group uses magic loop, but there's a lot of pulling it through and pulling it that, and I think I'd end up knitting on the same side or something. It's not. Anyway, I'm happy with this, and I think I'll stick to it. I don't push myself at all. If things are okay, then I go with it. So that's one pair of socks in the making. I was knitting on those last night, watching the new Death in Paradise. Is it Beyond Death in Paradise, or is it Beyond Paradise? It's called, where Chris Marshall comes back to England, and it's filmed in Looe in Cornwall. So I think there'll be a sort of a Doc Martin kind of a thing that Port Isaac experienced, maybe. You know what I mean? If people want to go and see all the. It looks very pretty. It looks a lovely little town. I've not been to Looe. We went to Port Lowe in Cornwall a few years ago, but not Looe. But it was very nice. It was a very nice little Friday night series actually. Nice. And I then watched the very last Death in Paradise as well, which I haven't watched them all, so the characters I'm not familiar with all the characters. But anyway, it was still quite nice. Still quite nice to watch. And the other sock I've got on my needles, which I've not done much to because it's a pattern, and it is a pattern by Twinset and Pearl. That's the picture. And I think it was a fundraising pattern for breast cancer. And I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it. It's very pink, and the camera is blowing it out a bit. But there's a pattern that comes down the front, and then and a pattern at the back to the heel. And it's called Open Hands, Open Heart Socks by Twinset and Pearl. And I'm using again Bird Street yarn. You see I've had a go at it already and then had to come back. I had to take it back. And this is Kestrel. Very, very nice. I think sometimes the closer I put this to the screen, the better you can see. Yeah. And I haven't done very much at all. And you can see it's a very easy pattern. There's not too many rows to it. So but it's not. I couldn't knit this watching television. It would just all go awry. So there's 2 socks on the go, which I should crack on and finish. Because I only have a couple of pairs of socks and they both need repairing, so I need some socks for myself. The next thing on my needles, and I have literally only just started this, and why I've started it when I've got things to finish, it's right at the bottom of the bag. I don't want to pull it off the needles. There we go. It is literally. I have literally just started this, and it's a shawl pattern. And well, I'll show you the pattern. I'll show you what it should look like. That's the ball band. This was a collaboration with Alex from Alex Collins Designs, and a pattern it's the Winterberry pattern by Sister Mountain. And there were 2 colourways that you could choose. There was the one I've chosen, which is the oatmeal colour, and a burgundy pattern. So you can just about pick out it's a very easy pattern, and it's a triangular shawl. So you start in one corner, obviously, and I have literally just started it, and it's a lovely yarn. The yarn is the Fibre Company or Fibre Co, and it is Cumbrian fingering unto the hills. And the colour is, I think that is Blencathra. I think that's what it's saying, Blencathra. And it's a blend of wool and mohair. It doesn't say what, it just says mohair. Yeah, 90% wool, 10% mohair, made in Peru. So it's lovely. It has a sort of a rustic look to it, but the mohair softens it. So you could wear it next to your skin. But it's so I literally, yeah. But I think it'll be quite pretty. So it takes 200-gram balls. So that's the other thing that's on my needles. But like I say, that is very, 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 very new. In fact, I'd forgotten about it. It was when I was putting things together for last week, when my last week attempt at a podcast. I thought, oh, what's in this project bag? And I'd completely forgotten about it. So I'm putting that to the front of the basket that I keep all my whips in, and then I should remember to do some. Another thing on my needles. Now, this has been on my needles for a while, and it's another Kim Hargreaves pattern. Oh dear, it's all of a bit of a tangle in here, because you knit with mohair and fine lace together. I'm trying to find my balls of yarn. Oh dear, oh dear. Here we are. But you knit. It's Rowan Kid Silk Haze and fine lace. It's a sort of a greeny grey, the fine lace, and then a bluey grey for the mohair. It's blowing out a little bit. And you're doing it in garter stitch. I'll get the pattern in a minute, but that's how much I've done of the back, and I dropped a funny little stitch there. And the pattern is Cobweb, it's called. Again, I should have had this bookmarked. There we go. What's that? So there's no button band, you just do the buttonholes at the side of I might not even bother actually, just have it as a little, I wouldn't wear it like that anyway. I think Kim's very fond of having a belt around cardigans. I think that would just be and it's nice long sleeves. I don't like bracelet sleeves. I like sleeves to come. I like to be able to push them back if I want to, but pull them down. And it's from this pattern book called Grey. Like I said, I've been knitting this for a while. But again, this is a TV pattern. You're knitting straight up, and then you do the shoulders, the arms, I should say, and then the shoulders. So it's quite a boxy pattern, knitted in pieces, bottom up. So it's not an easy one to show. You're just sort of showing pieces of knitting, and it's in my Out of Flower Stitches bag. Oh, get this out. What else have I been knitting? I think that's all on the knitting front. I've got some sort of lapsed projects. Another grey bit of knitting, and I haven't got the pattern book with me. I think this is a Kim Hargreaves pattern, but from a Rowan knitting book. And I've got this much done of the back. It's in absolutely plain. It seems a bit crumpled now. It's been there that long, but that's as much as I've done. Again, it's all in pieces, and it's a garter border, and then perhaps I can block. It just looks a bit loose. It's a garter border, and then stocking stitch. That's all it is, and it's quite a boxy. You do a little bit of shaping in for the arms, and then you go straight up and then to the shoulders. So I just thought that might be a useful cardigan, but that's so useful at the moment, isn't it? And I'm knitting it with this gorgeous yarn from Hedgerow Yarns, and it's graphite, and it's baby alpaca, silk and linen. It is so soft, it's beautiful, and it's got a lovely, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it's got a lovely sheen to it. I think that must be the silk in the silk content. It's gorgeous. It's 50% baby alpaca, 25% silk, 25% linen. Gorgeous. And yeah, it was 4 skeins, and this is in a project bag I got from Wool and Nature. She plant dyes linen for from things she forages in her location. She lives in France. Claire from Wool and Twine. Lovely, lovely bag. It's a gorgeous soft linen. Beautiful, beautiful design on the front. So this is a lapsed WIP. In fact, another one that I kind of forgot about. It was getting things together again. It's like, what's in here? Then I realise what's in there, but it's not altogether obvious. It's not. It doesn't come to me straight away what is in there. What's in this one? Well, this is another lapsed project. This is a lovely yarn from Sherry Iris, and I started to knit some socks, and as you can see, I've pulled them off the needles because I went wrong, and I've tried to put it right, and it's not right, but it's a lovely pattern, and it's a twin set and pearls pattern, which I haven't got. I can't remember what it's called now. It's one of the and I haven't got one anymore. What did I do with the pattern? See, I've probably decided I was going to frog it and do something else, but I'm going to have a good look at it. I'm not very good at reading my knitting, so I'm not quite sure where I'm up to with this pattern, and I can't even see. I think I might have pulled it back down to where I've gone wrong, but for some reason, I've taken it apart. I've snapped the wool from the sock. So I don't know why. This is gorgeous. It is a Sherry Iris yarn, and it's called Meadowgrass, and it's really lovely. It's very muted. It's creams and very pale greens. It's coming up. It's a little bit more colourful than that in real life. Really nice. So I think again I've got to have a look at this and see, because I'm not quite sure if I've come back to where I went wrong, or I've just got thoroughly annoyed with myself and thought, oh, I'll do something else with it. Anyway, so that's all in there in a Sherry Iris project bag. I think that's all the knitting I dare show you, really. I've bought some yarn, but I haven't brought it down with me. Right, I think I'll go into the sewing. I think that's enough. That's enough of the non-finished objects. There is another sock. I've cast on another sock, but it's literally only 2 rows of the rib, and that's in a Sherry Iris. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. I've kind of cast on, and then changed my mind a bit. So that's what's been going on as well, is me changing my mind. Oh no, there's one more thing I'm knitting. Oh, in a basket. I'm knitting a blanket for Rose. It's that is my newest little grandchild. We had a granddaughter born at Christmas on the 28th of December. So we were down there. So again, when you're with children and things like that, you don't get an awful lot of knitting done. I did a little bit of sock knitting. So Rose was born on the 28th of December. My daughter went in for an elective cesarean. But the day before, on the 27th, Ted came down with chickenpox. So that made us, and then Rose didn't come home straight away. We thought she'd come home the next day, but they wanted to monitor. She still had some gunk on her lungs that she wasn't getting rid of. So they wanted to monitor in case of an infection. So that we were going to come home. We went down on the 23rd and stayed over for Christmas, which was nice. We all had Christmas. It was lovely. And then we were going to come home on New Year's Eve, because we thought, Rose will come home on the 29th, and then we've got a couple of days, and then we'll come home. But she didn't come home till New Year's Eve. So we stayed another couple of days. We actually didn't come home till January the 3rd. So we were away from home quite a while, but it was all necessary and it was lovely. So I've not done much knitting for baby knitting at all. This is a blanket. I'll show you that. So that this is the sort of the inner bit of the blanket. You have to knit a border. If you can see, it's just a sort of a, I don't know what kind of a pattern you call it really. I don't know. I went wrong on this too. I had to pull it back quite a bit because the pattern makes all the yarn overs are going that way, and suddenly mine are going up that way. So it all had to come out, and it is this pattern. So this is the bit that's on the needles at the moment, and then you knit this pattern here separately and then sew it on. And there's also a cardigan in a similar, and that's you knit, and that's the border for the blanket as well. And it's a pretty little cardigan. But at the moment I'm just knitting the blanket, and it is in pattern book West Yorkshire Spinners Bo Peep Pure, but I'm knitting it in Bo Peep, but the DK it's that one, and because this can go in the washing machine. The Bo Peep Pure, which is a beautiful yarn and some gorgeous colours. The grey in this yarn is absolutely beautiful, but excuse me, it has to be hand washed, whereas this can go in the washing machine. So, and it's exactly the same tension. So that's what I'm knitting. Probably about a third of the way there. Again, this isn't a difficult pattern. You just it's all stocking stitch, and then there's only two rows in it. I can't remember how often you do it, but I need to get that pattern. And I'm knitting it in the colourway Robot, which is a sort of a lovely gunmetal grey. Lovely. Yes, I'm coming to the end of a ball now. So that's the other thing that's on my needles, and it's by the time I finish, it's going to be too warm for blankets, isn't it? But anyway, it's a handy thing to have, just to have, and I quite fancy it. I don't often knit many blankets, but yeah. So that's sitting in the basket. I'll put that down. So sewing. I'm making a quilt for Rose, just a little quilt. Now this, it's just, the pattern is called a simple baby quilt, and it was we've got a lovely shop in where I live called Patchfinders, and the lady who owns Patchfinders has designed this pattern, and she had a sample in the shop and she'd made it, and this was her take on that on because there's quite a few sort of designs there, and it's only a small quilt. It's 29 inches by 35, so it's perfect. And this is the sample that I took, which was hanging up in the shop, and if you can see it, and I have bought all the material. Again, copying it slavishly. I mean, I do have a mind of my own, but sometimes, if you think people have gone to all that trouble to do it, then why change it if you like it? So this is all the fabric, and I have cut out, and I did yesterday, I cut out all these little squares, and I've done the rows. I now need to press them and then sew the rows together. So I'll have that bit. It won't take me long. I might do it this afternoon, or I might sit and knit this afternoon. I don't know. And then there's just a plain white inner border, and then these are little, I don't know if you can see, these are little elephants. And then this is the binding, that one. You will, and it's also part of the squares. It's the design in the middle, and then this I'm going to use as the backing, and it's all it's flannel, so it's really soft and cozy. And I just thought Rose could lie on the floor. I mean, they've got quilts. I mean, I've made Ted 2 or 3 quilts now, and she could always lie on his quilts, but I want one of her own. And I think this would be nice and soft. And they do what's it called? Tummy time. And it would be nice to just lie on there for tummy time. We never used to do that. Anyway, so that won't take me long actually. If I don't do any today, I'll certainly do it. I've got to press all the strips. And that was as far as I got yesterday, and I thought I'm gonna have to get the ironing board out now because I haven't got a little ironing thing at the side there. I haven't got the space. So that's that. The other thing I made, which I've given to Rose, was a Luna Lappa, and I took a photograph. And if I can, I should be able to edit that into this. I'll do it here, so like I can put a picture in somewhere. And that was lovely to make, and a lot of that is hand sewing. So I thought I'll make Ted an Alfie rabbit, which is Luna, but it's Alfie. And so I got a little what they call a remake kit, because I've got the pattern. I bought the whole kit to do Luna and a dress. So, but this time I'm not sure I'm going to do the clothes for Alfie. It's he wears jeans, a little shirt, and a waistcoat, and they look a little bit fiddly. But anyway, for now, I'm just going to do it. And this is the Earth colour pack. Then you get the Liberty for the ears and the bottom of the feet and the threads But it's really lovely to make because, as I say, a lot of it is hand sewing, and it doesn't matter that your hand sewing can be a bit uneven, and I mean that adds to the charm of it, I think. So that's another project. And I also bought, when I was in Patchfinders, I bought some Liberty fat quarters, and I'm going to make Rose some bandana bibs. I thought they were very pretty. I got a pattern off the internet, and I've got the poppers because I made Ted a few. He had giraffes and sort of safari-looking prints and things, whereas I think we'll go pretty with Rose and have some Liberty. Oh, gotta love some Liberty. And I think that's it. That's my sewing content. I've made a couple of cushions, but cushion covers are easy, aren't they? But that's the other thing, is I've got a sewing room now. We've got 2 spare bedrooms, but because our children live a distance away, when they come to visit, they have to stay. My scarf's moving around a bit, and so they have to be bedrooms as well. But they're empty bedrooms, and my husband's in the garage, the door into the garage. That's why I'm doing that. He's got a corner of the garage set up as a workshop, and it's all there, so he can just go and do. And I said I'm a bit envious of that. The fact that I have to put my sewing machine and overlocker in a cupboard under the stairs, along with my sewing mat and cutting mats and the rulers and everything else, are all under the stairs. And so by the time you've hauled them out of there and set up on the kitchen table, and I've had to wait for breakfast to be over and things like that, or whatever, and then I've got to start cooking dinner or something. Things have to be put away. I kind of lose the incentive, really. It's a bit of a faff. But it was the only way I could, that if I wanted to sew, that's what was going to have to happen. So I went with it. But I thought, it's a shame, really, that these bedrooms aren't being used. I mean, I go in and I dust and tidy them, and there's always fresh bedding on them and things like that. But they're not used. So I said I wanted to turn the bedroom at the back of the house, which is the bigger one, bigger of the two, into a sewing room and buy a sofa bed. That was my plan. So we went, my husband said, oh, okay. So we went out and we looked at secondhand desks and tables and things like that. And none of them were big enough. I mean, they were either dressing tables, not desks, in which case the knee hole wasn't big enough and you don't get enough width and depth and things. So this one big enough. So I said, well, what about these tables you've told me about, these cupboards, these sewing cabinets that you've seen at the knitting and stitching show? I said, oh yeah, but I said they're very expensive. So we came home from this expedition looking, for secondhand furniture, and he said, why don't you order it? I'd already started on. We rehomed a bookcase and a wardrobe. We just had the double bed to sort out, and we gave that to a charity. They came and collected it, and then the sofa bed. We then ordered a sofa bed, but in the meantime, we pushed the bed French style into the corner up against the wall, and my sewing cabinet arrived. Now it's not a thing of beauty at all. It's just exceedingly practical. It really is. It's when it's all folded away, everything folded away and put away, it looks like a chest freezer. But I intend to keep it up all the time. I would only put it away when someone's going to use the room, and it's not that often. So it's easier for us to go and see them. So this cabinet came. So I've been faffing with that, trying to sort of soften the edges a bit. But it's absolutely great. And I also ordered a hobby chair. Again, not aesthetically pleasing, but very, very comfortable. I can sit and sew without getting backache. And I'm at a correct position and this sort of thing. So that's what I've been faffing with. And I've filmed a little sorry, there's a message come up there in the corner. I filmed a bit, going in from the door and then panning round, because we've now got a sofa bed. It's from IKEA, and again, it needs softening. So I've made some cushions and done a bit of faffing, because I faff, yeah, and that's what I do best. I faff. So that's sort of taken up a couple of weekends and things. I've filmed it, and I'll show you. We didn't decorate it. It was my younger daughter's bedroom, and she decorated it. It must be about 5 or 6 years ago. No, we don't do lots of decorating. I hate decorating, and it's okay. I can live with it. It's not horrible. But it's one of these. It's one green wall, which she was going to do as a gallery wall with all her pictures and things, and then there's 3 blue walls. It's like an olive green and it's not duck egg blue, but it's a pale blue, very pale blue. So it's nice. I can cope with it. I mean, if I paint it, I'll just paint it white. So I'm just going to see how we go on. So there's some faffing been done, and I'm absolutely delighted with. Absolutely delighted, and it's lovely that I can just go and do. In fact, I get in there and start sewing, and I forget to eat. I forget it's lunchtime. I take some water with me. I've got a large glass of water there, but I forget to eat. And then when it's time, I come down and have to prepare dinner or whatever. I just leave everything and shut the door. I mean, I'm a tidy worker. It's not in a mess. I go in and hoover it after I've been sewing things. I'm a bit of a neat freak, but I don't mind that. But so everything's sort of tidy. But the cabinet is and I'm not sponsored. This isn't an advert, but it's by Horn, and it's where you can push your sewing machine down into the cupboard, and your overlocker can go into a cupboard, and then this cupboard closes, and the bit folds back over there, and this bit folds back over, and it's really, really brilliant. It's just what I needed. It suits my needs because I don't have much space in that room. It's not a small room, but we need to be able to unfold the bed, um, and then that I can just fold all that stuff away, and it's on casters, so I can push it to one side, so that there's room to move around. Um, but I absolutely love it. I'm really, really pleased with it. Anyway, if I can, if I do it right, I'll insert the little bit of filming I did. I might even do it again actually, because I did it in two bits, and it's editing those two bits together. I'm not quite au fait with it all. Didn't cross, so we haven't seen her for. I haven't seen Libby since Rose was born, just after Christmas. So that's been a while. But they lead busy lives, yeah. And the other thing that I like when I watch a podcast is what you've been reading. And I like reading, and I used to do an awful lot of reading, and then I discovered Instagram, and scrolling through Instagram, I mean, you just go down a rabbit hole, and I've stopped doing that now. I've stopped. I do take my phone upstairs to bed because I normally got to charge it, but I don't look at it, and I read, and I sleep better. It's so much better, and I enjoy reading. And the two books I've read recently, well, I finished one and I'm reading one. This one was a very good read, The Nightingale, by Kristin Hannah. And it's set in France in the Second World War, and it's two very different sisters, and they get involved with the French resistance in quite different ways, and it's very, very good. It's a long time since I've read what I call a page turner. It's really, really good, and it wasn't. Emma from Eldenwood Crafts always talks about what she's been reading, and I'm not. It's not a recommendation. I'm not saying, oh, you must read this. I find that hard, really, because books are very much a personal choice. But she said she'd read it and she'd enjoyed it, so I thought, well, I'll read it, and because she has read some of the books that I've read in the past, and so I think probably we've got similar tastes. But it was a really good book, page turner. Sad in parts. Some of it was you don't think about certain things, like when the Germans rolled into Paris and what's happening in the environs of Paris and things like that. Anyway. It was a very good read. And then this one I have literally only just started, and it's called A Terrible Kindness by Jo Browning Rowe. I used to go to I used to go to a reading group in Bramhall, which is near town nearby, I should say. And it used to be on a Monday morning. Well, I didn't work on a Monday morning, so I could attend this. And it was a women's book group run at a local bookshop called Simply Books, a beautiful bookshop. And they have various book clubs. They have a crime book club. They have, and this is there's the owners are called Sue and Andrew. This is Sue's book club, and but it's on a Tuesday morning now. They changed it, and of course I work on a Tuesday morning. So I've started to read the book club reads vicariously. So this is going to be talked about on March the 7th, and it is, again, I have only just started it, and it's back in 1966, and William has just graduated from the embalmers. He's trained to be an embalmer, and he's graduating, and he's at the Embalmers Federation dinner, and he's graduating with the best results in the country. He's the youngest and the best embalmer in the country. This is 1966, and what they don't know is that while they've been preparing for that day, there was the Aberfan disaster, where the big slag heap rolled over the school, came down and buried a primary school. Horrible. I can remember, being talked about and talking about it at school, because I was at primary school when it happened. I would have been 66. I would have been 8. So, and it was horrible. Anyway, William volunteers his services as an embalmer. There's a call out for coffins and embalmers and all sorts, because there was so many dead children. It was horrible, and there's a call out, and he drives to Wales, to Aberfan, during the night. That night, stops, finishes he walks out of his graduation because he's got to go, and he's told he'll see things that he'll never want to see again. But he goes with 2 other embalmers in a hearse with 4 coffins in it. And that's as far as I've got, actually. He's just arrived at the scene. I think the local church is the mortuary, and there are families, parents waiting outside to find out what happened to their children. It's beautifully written. It's a debut novel, and it's beautifully written. I mean, at the blurb at the back, it says his work that night will force him to think about the little boy he was and the losses he has worked so hard to forget. But compassion can have surprising consequences, because, as William discovers, giving so much to others can sometimes help heal ourselves. So there's something gone on in his life previously that we'll find out about. So that's what I'm reading at the moment. Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I think I have waffled on enough now. I'll tidy up and try and look as if I haven't podcasted when my husband walks in. But I hope to be back. I know I've said this before, but I want to get into this again. And the longer you leave it, the less confident I am about doing it again. So I'm going to see what this is like. I don't want to heavily edit my podcast. I quite like a seamless thing, but just popping in some photographs. I don't think there's anything I need to chop out, but well, we'll see. But yeah, and I need to put the washing machine back on. That's another thing I'd forgotten about, is the noise. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and thank you for subscribing. I think the last I've got 760 subscribers. I mean, that's amazing. That's lovely. Thank you, and I will see you soon with some finished objects. I've said it out loud now, with some finished objects. Bye.
Oh boy, whoa. didn't know there was a hotel up there that sold chips with everything. You'd wonder where the hell you were.